we're on the weekly time frame here, and we could really start to kind of get an idea of what exactly is going on this chart right now if we take a look at, this really, I don't know, I don't want to call it an impressive rise, but it's definitely not unimpressive. We're up by about 15%, and, it's happening across multiple weeks, which, demonstrates that this is somewhat more mature price action. The problem obviously is that this was a level that, this 90K level here that, Bitcoin actually was able to enjoy as support for quite a while. And now we're potentially going to be, rising back into it at this speed is not kind of the greatest sign ever. Obviously, a lot of this, as I've been saying, is going to be an S&P 500 question. And, looking at the S&P 500, there was a little bit of a retracement, a little bit before kind of what I was expecting. I did think that, we can kind of top out here, but I think I expected that we kind of get into the resistance zone first. But this is probably all kind of, leading into those tariffs. But one thing I'm curious about is, we've known that April 2nd is tariff day for a while. Today, is obviously the 28th. And so there's still, a good kind of 4 or 5 days until that happens. And I think with this drop and even the recovery in light of the tariffs, a little pullback here, it's not really concerning. Almost starts looking like that tariff situation's kind of been priced in a little bit. I'll tell you what's interesting is obviously, we are starting to pull back a little bit now, but that's totally fine because, this is kind of a little bit of a soft support level that we've got here. And obviously we've got a stronger support level down here. So, as far as this goes from a technical perspective, I mean, you don't want, just straight up in one line, right? You do want to get, a little bit of a pullback, consolidation, move up, consolidate, come down, something like that, and then continue on. That's going to be what a healthy chart looks like. So, that's still looking good to me from that perspective. I do find it interesting, of course, that gold is basically trading at an all-time high right now at near enough 3,100. So again, no surprises here. We've been quite vocal on this YouTube channel. Shout out to those of you that are subscribed. On the gold situation here for actually a few years here. That was actually one of the easiest. It was obviously 100% confident kind of trade that I took with you guys, or well, not with you guys, but that I told you I was taking. And that's obviously worked out really, really well. Over here on Bitcoin, we zoom in a little bit and it looks like it's poised to get higher, right? I mean, we're moving up somewhat aggressively and then we're consolidating and correcting slowly. So, that's kind of what you want to see to tell you that you're going to be reaching some of these resistance zones up ahead. And to me, that tells me that, we're still on that path and things are looking good. It's harder to be bullish, I think, at this point because of the fact that this chart is moving so slowly up to that level. One might argue quite fairly that, if we're kind of coming up this slowly, then, it's just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like kind of you take 3 steps forward and then one big jump backwards kind of thing, right? That's almost what it's starting to look like here. But I tell you, it's an interesting thing because, if you were bearish up here, you didn't get what you want. If you were bullish up here, then, you didn't get what you want. So everybody's, it's a Trump market right now, through and through. Everybody's kind of just waiting to see what happens. And we're seeing charts kind of at equilibriums because of that. I think that, as time goes on, it's grinding, confidence for some people down. And I think that's why we're generally seeing Bitcoin trending up with its dominance, right? I want to point out that, a lot of these drops for Bitcoin, they kind of started, toward the end of February. And if we take a look at, Bitcoin's dominance ever since the end of February around here, it's been trending higher, right? So clearly, there's just less of an appetite for risk, right? And I think that's why we saw, this dump in the first place coming down by about 30%. And, all of these things make sense to me if we've been rallying up so aggressively, not only with Bitcoin, but also, of course, with the S&P 500. So, that combination of factors to me, it's not something I would ignore. It looks like something that's worth paying attention to. It looks like something that, could definitely, continue to have an effect on the market, right? I mean, if you're moving, quite aggressively up, you don't really need, especially with Trump as president, you don't even need a technical setup to tell you that you're going to start dropping down. It's just that if something starts opening up, right, if a little bit of momentum starts moving in the direction of downward price action, I think one of the big things that I've actually talked to you guys about a lot on this YouTube channel is, none of these rallies, be it Tesla, Nvidia, Bitcoin, whatever, none of these rallies are particularly being driven by, extreme buying pressure. It's actually more so that there's no sellers, right? And so in other words, these are markets that are entirely driven by fear of missing out, which makes it, quite fantastic for traders, right? Those of you that are traders, you're gonna, it's a good, I mean, generally it hasn't been quite nice, but in recent times, but generally this is a really, really good thing for us because, the closer it is to that kind of like raw psychology, it's just the easier it's going to be to trade, right? I mean, when things get really extreme on one side, then you kind of, you just have to be a contrarian and you'll make money most of the time, right? So that actually is pretty cool. And, on those notes of trades, those of you that are watching this channel, you've got some huge bonuses available to you with the links in the description. This Bybit competition is probably coming to an end now, but you've still got up to $30,000 in free money that you can get when you start trading using this link down below. And Blowfin, of course, the same with potentially even more aggressive bonuses. So check them out if you're not from a restricted region. Bybit also has the Bybit card. And while you are down here, if you're interested in our one-to-one program, it is highly exclusive and incredible success out of this since its launch. Nobody has failed to pay off their fee either from savings or aggression, trades that they actually made money. So really cool package here. You can reach out and a member of the team will get you information if you're interested, but it is very serious and it is expensive. So you got to consider if that sounds like it's okay with you. But really cool stuff. Check them out if you're allowed to. Bringing it back to the video, though, I think just with the... It goes, Laney. Good boy. I think that, just with that potential of, honestly, not that many buyers and an absence of sellers, when that kind of starts to change, when you get a reason to start selling, there is really nothing stopping the market from, catapulting downwards, right? So I think that's a really important one to keep in mind. But, the other thing that it means is that we're just getting healthy corrections here, right? I mean, I can see why some people would probably say that this looks like a kind of bubble pop because of how aggressively, this drop happened. But, I think if you've been around for a little bit and if you've seen how Bitcoin has moved in its past, I mean, we don't, you could make the same argument right here, right? So, we don't really, we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot if we got scared of kind of every correction that kind of looked a little bit like this. And it's also, really quite a harmless one compared to a lot of the corrections that we've had, right? So I think it's all about kind of maintaining that realism, right? You guys come to this YouTube channel and, whatever your head's telling you before, when you watch the channel, hopefully, you can start to add a little bit of kind of, realism back to your analysis if it's not there. And if it is there, maybe it validates a bit of your analysis. And you know what? If you agree, then that's sick too, because I don't get everything right. I get most things right, I think, but not everything. And so, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to kind of know what you're thinking in the comment section as well. So definitely do let me know. I think if Bitcoin can blast through 90K, then that's going to be, a lot of clarity for the market to tell us that we're headed back above $108,000. However, if that rejection comes in here, we got to watch at how it drops down, but it really could be something that kind of intensifies. It looks to me, the way that this current administration is going, that they don't really care too much about where the markets go. I mean, obviously Trump himself has said that. And they're just kind of trying to get the job done that they want to do. Yeah, whether or not you agree with that job is really not the point, but that seems like, kind of that's the direction that they're headed in. And, I think with that in mind, this could obviously get a little bit worse before it gets better. I certainly don't think that we're entering, any sort of bear market for a long time, though. And it would also be, mind you, the very first time in crypto history where the entire crypto space and crypto Twitter and all of your group chats, WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, everything, it would be the first time that all these people get it right, calling the market top. On the flip side, If what actually happens is that these people who are a little bit more impatient just sell their crypto into the hands of kind of institutions or more patient people, and then essentially they take themselves out of the market prematurely, it would not be the first time for that to happen, right? It wouldn't even be the 10th time. It wouldn't even be the 100th time. It is quite a regular phenomena that we see in the market. So, for me, it's about kind of spotting those signs and, really being detached from the noise. Quite frankly, I don't even talk to anybody about the markets anymore at all. Only my team. That's it internally. I really don't care or want to know about what other people say or think. Because for the most part, it's really quite misleading and quite dangerous, I think, in these markets here. I advocate this for most people. I really do. I think that most people, regardless of skill level, do not need to be hanging out with other traders and talking trades with them. Everybody's going to have a different, everybody's got a different kind of background coming into this, right? It's money at the end of the day. It's a very kind of touchy subject. And I think it's a very, very individual journey because of that. One thing that comes to mind when I tell people this is, it's a little bit discouraging, right? People are kind of like, well, shit, and to me, it's like, man, if you really need to kind of like, I don't know, hang out with people while you do this, then maybe this is not for you. Maybe you just shouldn't, because you're just not really that independent, are you? And you also don't want to be. If you're hearing what I'm saying and then you don't like the sound of it, it also means that you don't want to be independent. And I think, from everything I've seen, that's not compatible with what good trading looks like, right? Even, because you see this in bigger companies, right? Bigger companies might have some level of collaboration between traders, but they're not trading crypto, right? They're aiming to outperform the S&P 500. So, not particularly difficult or tall orders. Quite frankly, I don't know actually what they do professionally. I find it quite strange. Maybe they just have bigger challenges because they got to deal with liquidity issues, right? Maybe. But you and I don't have that issue, do we? And we can afford to be a lot more independent that way. And you do find that, it's the independent people that kind of go a little bit further in this journey. It's about getting in the books. I've got the beautiful links for you down below of some of the best books I've ever read. Market Wizards, this is going to cost you like $10, mate. And it might change your life. It definitely changed mine. So, that's a great one. Audiobook, Amazon, whatever you like. Really, really cool stuff there that I think is kind of worth looking at. And those are the kind of things that I think will really serve you right now. Like I look at these charts and I'm sitting here thinking, shit, it's been boring what to do. For me, it's about, you have to preserve your capital. Yeah, you have to, Bitcoin's dominance is kind of coiling up for a potential explosion here. I might be wrong, right? But then it's probably going to explode downwards. So either way, we're probably seeing something, quite big on the horizon. If you spent the last months kind of, getting beat up and, 5% down, 30% down, 15% down, like that's going to put you in a weaker position for when the market is a little bit clearer. I think that we really need to view this not from, what's going on in the present, but kind of from the future and just understand that if every time the market starts becoming a little bit more difficult, right? Here's another example, like really difficult ranges, these ranges right here. If every time shit like this started happening and you just, dwindled your capital supply down, you wouldn't really have time for the easier, safer opportunities. Like this one was a great one. We're kind of breaking the all-time high and then, we get a little bit of support and then, this was a slightly more predictable, or here there's just a ton of obvious support to kind of buy off of. Right. And if you don't have money to kind of put in when those obvious trades come in, right? Like these are really obvious trades. I mean, you could have, expected that this was a good kind of support zone pretty much from here and onwards, right? And so that's still, a good few opportunities to make money before you end up completely losing. If that's kind of the game, then yeah, like we're not getting trades that are that easy right now. I mean, this is kind of the next one and, it's almost a bit too obvious. So I feel like, we either, overshoot or front run a little bit. I would be kind of surprised if we ended up just, topping out there. But while we're on this subject, let me just quickly throw a little fib retracement on this. And so we got a 618 level right here. Although I should draw it the other way around because we're in a downtrend. So we'll do it like this. So yeah, we got our 382 level over here, and yeah, no significant fib levels until we get up to about 97. So that kind of makes sense. It's kind of an important level on the chart. it would be very interesting to see Bitcoin get up here. And it, it is still going to be a little bit of resistance for Bitcoin as well, right? We can kind of throw the fixed range volume profile on this chart. And nice big spike coming up here at 96.7, which is 96.6, which is basically, 97K, right? So I think that kind of makes a little bit of sense that, that could be an issue for Bitcoin. Obviously, this value area low is quite nicely placed at about 92, which I think is also going to be where a bulk of that kind of resistance starts coming in for Bitcoin as well. So, these are the kind of things I'm going to be watching. Looking at Ethereum right here, like, it's just... like, what can you do, right? Like, if you're kind of trending down, you're just going to perpetually, fall lower kind of forever. It doesn't really end until, the market actually reverses. And I think, this gets especially challenging now because there's kind of nothing left on this chart. I mean, there's a little bit kind of like right here. There's a little bit. But the problem is we're going back to 2016, man. We're going back to 2019 here. I mean, 2019 itself was 6 entire years ago. It's, I'm not saying that these are invalid, but you would want support which is a little bit more recent as well, right? In addition, right? I mean, having historical support is phenomenal, but you want something a little bit more recent to kind of validate that, because market conditions change too. We're not in the 2016 market by any stretch, and we're also not really in the 2019 kind of era either. Crypto was quite different back in those two periods, so it's tricky. It is tricky. But I'll tell you what, and look, it's intensifying right now. It looks like, are we seeing a bigger dump as I record? Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it's kind of getting a tiny bit worse right here. So, support down at about kind of 84 also makes sense. Honestly, if we return down to this level, that would probably, really help Bitcoin get back up to 90, because it's a pretty good level. We were finding a lot of resistance there. We didn't quite back test it. We kind of got this back test right here, but it would be nice to get another one, maybe a kind of higher low or something. So that's totally cool with me too. But yeah, I think this is, oh my god, that's just picked up, hasn't it? Yeah, just while I'm talking to you guys here. This was literally in the last couple of minutes. So good. I mean, what can you say? These are great levels to be buying Ethereum. I think quite hard to resist in my opinion. We got Bitcoin dominance right now at 62% as well. So, it's looking like something could happen relatively soon. And to me, I'm just kind of, I'm not even making this complicated, right? I don't know why I look so blue. This is weird. I'm not even trying to make this complicated. All I'm basically saying is, right now we're pointed up and to the right, both for Bitcoin's dominance, and on the longer term scales, for all charts moving up. And so to me, that does spell, a little bit of trouble for these altcoins, while Bitcoin kind of figures its shit out, more or less, right? Let's take a look at Trump coin right here. I drew this nice little bear flag. I'm curious to see. Yeah, we did get a nice breakout out of this bear flag here. No real back test, so not a particularly easy trade there. So that's a bit of a shame, but we've got this nice little horizontal level at about $10.60, which it's about to fall into. Let's look at Solana right here. It's had quite a nice rally. I think Solana could be something that's a little bit more tradable in this period here, just because of the fact that it's moved up quite nicely and now starting to retrace. So if we go ahead and throw a fib on this, I'm just curious to see if there's any kind of obvious levels that, we got the 618 down here. This is pretty nice, actually. I actually welcome this. I welcome, Solana overshooting this support level and then doing something a little bit like that. That looks pretty clear to me, kind of 125 for potential long on Solana. I don't know if it's safe. Like I said, I mean, these trades are all a little bit contentious right now, but you know what? It almost doesn't matter if it's safe if you got free money to trade with on these platforms. So that's also really cool, right? If you kind of load yourself up with a little bit of cash completely free of charge and then just throw it into whatever you kind of think looks interesting. I know a lot of people have done that, and varying results, right? Sometimes you'll lose money, sometimes you'll make money, but the good thing is that it wasn't your capital that you're trading with, so you get to keep 100% of the profits if you make them, and if you lose money, then screw it, not your business, right? Literally not your business. It was the exchange that gave you the money. So I think that's pretty cool. Here's Sol BTC, nothing kind of interesting going on here. Obviously, we got Cardano right here, which is one of those strategic crypto reserve tokens. The Trump pumps are doing nothing. They're doing nothing. It really proves to us that we need a better kind of macro environment, for these markets. But one big thing, man, that I really think, people are just not really aware of is, we are still looking at a very neutral market, yeah, in light of all of this, kind of difficulties, right, that we're facing. I mean, there's a lot of bullish stuff, but there's also a lot of bearish stuff, and I find personally that this market is very, very neutral in spite of all of that, which to me, has got to be a sign of strength. I mean, if you look at the PR campaign, again, whether you agree with Trump or not, it's really not the point. We're not trying to be too emotional about this, but I think that if you kind of look at, what's been going on, hopefully my face is lit up a little bit better now. If you look at what's been going on in this market, in the news and the media, in response to tariffs, if you look at the kind of narratives that are kind of being spun out, it's really, quite overwhelmingly negative. Here's a nice little support on Cardano as well. It's really quite overwhelmingly negative, isn't it? But I mean, the markets don't really show that, right? And I think this is the other thing that I'm kind of pointing out, right? If you go back here and you look at this correction that happened, and it was about a 10% correction, and obviously everybody was, scared. It wasn't actually. The sentiment was not as bad, and I think that that's really interesting. Yes, people were scared, but people are like shitting fucking bricks right now, overall. But back here, it was a lot more calm, right? And I think that was a few things, right? Mainstream media was still on the side. Mainstream media had to make it look like the economy was good because the election was coming up and stuff like that, and a few other factors. But ultimately, the point is that I can just take this line right here, and we're actually we've had a bigger drop on this occasion here, compared to what we see right here. And it's just, I just don't really see it, right? Like, I think that compared to how negative sentiment is right now, you compare it to kind of similar drops. You don't even have to, stick to recent times. You can go back much further. This is some of the most, kind of like scared I've seen market participants in a while. And it's like over what? Like, it's literally down by 10.5%. And now it's recovering in healthy ways. I mean, yeah, it could keep on going down, of course, that's entirely possible. But, for what we've seen so far, I just think it's disproportionate, right? I think that, compared to kind of some of the stuff that we've seen before, we're responding way, way, way more aggressively with sadness, with misery, than we did previously, and yet the price action just doesn't really reflect that. I think, and this is my point, is if you stick around talking to people in group chats, discussing ideas with your friends, like, I get it, right? Like, it's good, and I don't want to say don't do it, because that's also nice and enjoyable, but everybody's got an opinion, right? And I don't know. I don't think that reality is that unclear at this stage. I think that, if we just want to ground ourselves in facts, if we just want to look at facts right here, market's down by 10.5%, and people are irrationally upset by this. I mean, that kind of what do you call it? Like, when two things really oppose each other, like juxtaposition or whatever, just that like polarization between really bad sentiment but not so bad price action. When these kind of mismatches exist, that's kind of like A+ trading opportunities in my experience. I mean, it never feels easy. It's hard to build confidence for them. Truly, the only real way to build confidence for them is to actually do them and then realize that it makes you money, and then it's a lot easier to do it the next time. But I think a lot of people kind of miss that, right? And I think that's why it works so well. For me, if this really was something that was so bearish, then I don't think the markets would have held on this high, right? I don't think the markets would have held on this high. I just don't. I think that if it really was this bad, then we would be significantly lower. And I think that if the markets were actually going to top out, then everybody would be saying what I'm saying. But that's not the case. Almost nobody is saying what I'm saying. Almost nobody is, and it's because nobody's made money. I think one thing we've got to point out is, we can look at these charts since Trump got elected, right? And it's quite impressive. We can look at XRP as obviously a great example. This is November right here, and it just, the whole chart basically came back to life, and it was a huge rally for XRP. There are a few other examples, right? Like here's Doge, did something very similar. A lot of coins did this, and now a lot of coins have also retraced it, which I think is also very, very interesting. But if we take a look at, kind of overall what's actually happened, there weren't that many, accessible money making opportunities since Trump got elected. There really weren't. And yet it looks like everybody should have made money. Which is, I think, one of the interesting things. The charts make it look like there was a lot of money being made, but in reality, nobody's really up. Probably most people are down since Trump got elected. And if not down, then certainly close to kind of break even from November 5th. And I just think because of that, that really says a lot. I think that collection of factors all coming together at the same time, it really says a lot to explain why people are so pessimistic in the market. But this kind of pessimism, man, when everybody's saying it, and when the markets just aren't really responding to it, it's dangerous. It's really dangerous, right? I mean, could you be right? Yes, of course you could be. You could be correct to kind of be pessimistic in these ways, and hopefully you are, if because I would want you to make money, right? But I'm going off what I've seen, and it's a mismatch, and that kind of mismatch, it typically results in people losing a lot of money, and more importantly, actually, more importantly than losing money, it results in people getting sidelined. It results in people missing out on the upside that is yet to come. There's no guarantees that upside may not come at all, but I think, overall, not much has actually changed. Especially, I think if you zoom out, you look at this on a weekly time frame, then yeah, you could paint, a little bit of a shit chart here just because we are kind of, slowly approaching a macro resistance level. But overall, you really look at this chart, and you kind of digest what it's telling you. Like, it's almost like kind of unreasonable to be worried about this. I think this is the fact that we've just consolidated so much during this cycle it's basically put us in a fairly healthy, look at this, right? Like this is kind of your 45 degree, and it makes sense why we're getting this. This is how the S&P 500 moves, and obviously the markets have really adapted now to basically, the same money that moves Bitcoin is the same money that moves, tech assets, right? And bigger traditional finance markets. So I think that's why we see this, and I think we're probably going to be seeing more of it. And, if that's what we're seeing, then it's honestly, it's more of an up only story that we have. There's actually a deep dive video that I've planned for you guys on this. And if you want to see that, let me know in the comment section. Just type in, give me the deep dive video. And I'll definitely get that recorded for you as well in the next couple of days here. But I think just with this 45 degree angle, this rally that we're seeing here, and you especially compare it to some of the things that we've seen earlier, right? For example, this rally right here was obviously quite intense. In fact, we can even draw it here, and it's still going to be a steeper angle of attack than what we're in right now. And obviously, this is much more typical for Bitcoin. We can kind of take this line anywhere, and I mean on this occasion it was actually a little bit more aggressive than that even. And I think that also if you want to talk kind of market tops, you are gonna start seeing even with Bitcoin, even with Bitcoin in the present day, even with the S&P 500, you are gonna start seeing that things kind of angle a little bit more aggressively right before those market drops. Sometimes they level off, but this wasn't really a crash, so not really that bad. But this is a really good example right here, right? You can kind of see how we start off coming with a certain kind of momentum, but then it really picks up toward the end. And that's, I think going to be, quite typical for Bitcoin. So, with that in mind, we're not even at that stage yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, if you want to say that the market is kind of over, the cycle is over, then, you kind of just have to agree with everybody else who, I don't know. I don't think that they're really looking at this chart for what it is, because, this is a very, very stable chart. This is the kind of chart that just kind of goes up forever. So and I think the part that sucks is that it's slow, and I think a lot of people that enter crypto, they didn't enter crypto to trade the S&P 500. They entered crypto to trade crypto. And I think that's kind of where a lot of people are really getting quite upset. So a little bit of a deeper dive from me today. This was a 29-minute video, very chill this morning here. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, you know what to do. Smash up those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all of that good stuff. I'm willing to do more stuff like this with you. I actually kind of like it, to be honest. Like, I'm talking to you guys a little bit more like me rather than as a YouTuber. I don't mind. I can do both, and I like doing both. I really do. Sometimes I just get hyped up, but it's a chill one today, I think. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll probably be back later on to give you guys some more analysis as things develop, because we could see some pretty interesting developments today, just given that this dump is continuing to intensify right now as we speak. So this could definitely get more interesting as this session develops here. So yeah, an entire 19 hours left on this daily candle. We'll see how it goes. But ladies and gents, I hope you have enjoyed this one. You know what to do. If you have, check out those beautiful links in the description if you want to get huge bonuses when you start trading, credited into your account. Always be mindful of your country's local laws and regulations, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.